Hello, sorry about that rant, but I think I just need to get it off my chest. It's been boiling away because I've almost been too calm, too calculating, and sometimes you've just got to see the person for what they are and what motivates them. So obviously this started about my daughter, my disabled daughter who couldn't protect herself, and the adults in children's at the time, the further adults in adult service, but not the ones at the front end apart from a couple of staff in the school. It's in the main, the ones who are on 70 grand plus, who knew about it, who passed the policies, who set the procedures, and then go and hoodwink cabinet that this is a good idea, and everybody's been consulted. And this is why it's wrong. This is the democracy side. We are being cut out of the loop about decisions made to us. They hide, the officers hide behind austerity and re-engineer things to actually save their own jobs. And that's the bit the public don't understand. And you only understand it when you've been as close to them and been burnt by them as I have with my family. I say I, but I speak on behalf of me and my family for that. Because my other children did suffer as a result, but thankfully not in the way that my disabled daughter did, or has done. The other thing I forgot to tell you about Graham Miller is at 2013-14, when I last ran a Twitter campaign on Dave Smith, and up to 2015, 16 until Irene came into post, Irene Lucas that is, and then brought in Fiona Brown, I'd gone up against Neil Reevely, who was the director of Health, Housing, Adult Services, People, Places, whatever machination, which had children's services at the time. And while the bloke was good at strategy, when it come to operational matters, he didn't have a bleeding clue, and his officers got up to all sorts. Yet he was happy because he was balancing budgets for his boss. As long as the budget's balanced, who cares about the rest? Well, I care, so, but that's why I'm different to... And there are other, don't get me wrong, there are other people in there, but it's not difficult to fight from within. Or it is difficult to fight from within. And sometimes you've got to fight from within, but accept that at some point you're coming on the outside, and you've got to learn how to then fight the machine from outside. I think those that know me say I tunnelled under them, left a bloody great chasm, and everything started to fall into it. But only thanks to the sort of support and friends I've got around me who know me very well. And thank you. You know who you are. You buy me teas, coffees, you sit down, you keep us on check, you give us information. Thank you. One of the other things I've ended up taking up because I was in housing was the whole thing about acquisition of buildings, land, contracts and stuff, because we did that inside. I did 12 million quid's worth. And what put us together was the stuff that I had mentioned around Claire Phillipson and her dodgy dealings with Alan Carrick and the missing accounts and the 4 or 5 million quid that then came out. In fact, our daughter's implicated because she worked there before she became an MP, so the Labour Party are implicated at various levels. Vera Baird's implicated because we put 2 police complaints in to set investigations off, which in all fairness to the police couldn't go anywhere because of where the doors were locked by Vera, and she would have just dismissed it as a fishing trip because of who we were and the way we were portrayed. I've been portrayed as everything from what was the last one? Tory Troll by Councillor Stuart Porthouse, who bizarrely is now the portfolio for adults and regeneration. I'll tell you what, Stuart, you're not the brightest chappy, and you've walked into a cesspit because they've set you up to do it. They've put you in the firing line, but I'm not going to be the one firing the bullets. Let other people do that, because I could take you out in 5 minutes, but yeah, at least I had the sense not to vote for Mr. Miller. So, as I've said, I've never seen hanging as an offence for being stupid. And you lost your friend Gillian Galbraith's seat by 65 votes for the fact that you went on a 4-day rant and upset every bloody voter in the city, I think, which is why she lost. It wasn't just about to save West Park, which you've been given back because it's your seat, your area, and you're up for the vote next year. So you can say the game's Mr. Miller's played, as were 3 other areas. But he's left the contentious ones around land and development and Sigley and all that on the areas where he's got opponents. Let them deal with it. He's trying to keep them busy. I tell you what, Frick, Scott, that's supposed to be kind of you, a bit transparent, Mr. Miller. Went to say right through what your plans are, yours and Mr. Kelly's, and how long you've been plotting all this. And when myself, the Lazarus, unpicked all of the sort of crap around the dodgy dealings with Wayside Women in Need, the missing money from the Home Office grant, an issue about the Centrepoint building, which is opened, now closed, because Alan Caddick and Mr. Miller crashed all the contracts last year, even though Prince William had only opened it 3 years ago and he came up out of the city. Thank God he didn't want to visit again, because they didn't have the keys to get in. Because Centrepoint have had to close it because there's no money to run a service. Yet we've got young people, vulnerable young people, because not a lot of you actually realise this, but as a sitting councillor, all 75 are what's called in loco parentis, where they're actually the corporate parent of all of the care leavers we have in the city. That means if anything goes wrong, they are held liable. So think of all of the care cases that have gone wrong. These guys could actually be jailed, especially if any die, because corporate manslaughter under the new laws, you can go to jail and die if it can be proven. Harming kids, you can be proven. So in a way, all the stuff that went on with the disabled kids and all the stuff that's been carried out, because I don't get your mentality. Sometimes things just go horribly wrong that you didn't foresee. Apologise and just put it right. And then if it's your fault once there's been an inquiry, then fall on your sword and accept you weren't up to the job. Because sometimes things do go wrong even when you're trying to do the best of your job. So, I remember the bomb scare, I'll tell you this one quickly. One of the contractors we had at the time, and I'll name them because they're no longer in thing, No Care. They looked after all of the ex-offenders who came out of prison, blah blah blah, housed them, came under our programme, probation worked with us to make sure they were safe. One of their offenders walks into the head office one day with what a member of staff realised was a fake hand grenade. So they put it in they meant well, they actually put it in the lockable cabinet to get it later and forgot about it. Another member of staff comes on night shift, opens this up, standing with what they think is a live grenade in their hands, absolutely petrified, puts it down, cleared the building, bomb squad the lot of there. But in reality, nobody got sacked because they were what I call stupid errors that could have had consequences, but thankfully didn't. But when somebody like a head teacher or whoever is plotting stuff and it happens, and then they cover it up, and then they blame everybody else, they blame the junior staff, not themselves, then you've got a problem. And we pushed everything through the right system, but then it went through the system and ended up with Len Lowther. So I ended up having a chat with Len Lowther about using our stuff, because it wasn't his to use, but he had it. And what I'd say is, Len listened. He's sometimes a bit gung-ho, and he covers the wall with so much splatter that sometimes you can't see the bits that are important. But he did actually listen to us, but he did create the sisterhood. I think he created his own band out of it. Although he was right about the people who were helping each other, but they weren't like the Masons. And I also then got asked by a senior figure within the North East Labour Party to look at his stuff around the land. Well, say about that, and he'll deal with that, I won't go into detail. There is a corrupt element around that land. And what has been pointed out is there are documents that Wilkin Chapman didn't see that should have been on the system, because it's unlawful to remove them, which will come to light. And Len will see his deal with that. And then you've got to ask yourself, what else was he right about? But I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to go into detail and sort of pee on his parade, because that's his baby to sort out. He's been guided, he's been supported. But there are land deals. But then there's new things about Siglian coming out about them not consulting with us properly. I'm pro the development down at Seaburn, but I tell you what, the behaviour of Siglian, the chief exec setting the culture, is ignore everybody, just get on with it and do what we want. And I've got to say, that's the bit of democracy I don't believe in. I believe in fairness and openness and transparency, because therefore, if you haven't done anything wrong, why hide it? Just please, why hide it? Because And I'll come more to signaling in that in another blog. The next blog I want to do, I will do the whole story of Alan Caddick and Claire Phillipson and Bridget Phillipson, and then I'll include how we got to including Julie Elliott in it, and where the GMB union and other things fit in. And then I'll come on to what needs to change. But you've got to remember, Mr. Miller is reintroducing that culture of hidden deals. Votes for jobs is the fundamental reason that, in the fact that Mr. Miller knew all about the kids stuff, and that he turns a blind eye to things hoping it'll just disappear. Too many people watching you now, Graham, and to be honest, if I was you, I'd resign tomorrow. You had a good shot at it, but you got found out early. You got found wanting when you were tweeting or liking racist tweets about Muslims, etc., about the whole thing around God and whatever it was else you tweeted, liked, reposted. Your values are actually really shocking for someone who's now the leader of this city. You're also a liar. You've misled people about what your true beliefs are, what your agenda is, who you put in your cabinet, who you're not, how they actually got there, what you're going to do with the money, what you're not going to do with the money. Also, you've lied to the Till Farm residents, or been misled by your wife on your behalf with you and John Kelly. Because we've got photographs of John with his placards up, yet he wanted to go deputy leader, where he would have had to sign up to the things that he was protesting about before. I just don't get that philosophy of you change thing, because if you've got one set of views, unless evidence comes forward, and it hasn't changed from when you were both in cabinet and agreed all of Paul's strategies for regenerating our city, not the city centre, but the outlying parts and the business, you all approved it. So now you're saying, and you sent your email in February, not where I see the city going. No, you see the city is your little cabals of area committees, propped up by the CLPs, the constituency Labour parties, by your little thing, and all of your favourite businesses and charities and that getting the money out of that way. So whilst others were going to be left high and dry. We know you do it because we saw what you did to the whole housing support sector, where you basically made every vulnerable person in this city who was in a supported accommodation homeless. You did. Or it was only by God's chance that Salvation Army said, we're ethical and we'll look after ours. YMCA Sunderland did exactly the same. Wayside Women in Need took you on and got their contract back, but I think it's come with a price. It's come with a price, because it's going to cost you your job and your role as a councillor in the city, and your wives, and Mr. Kelly's, and Miles Elliott for being the biggest missing councillor